Welcome to the Real Ref Report, a fun approach to improving officiating.
You suck, ref!
Keeping it real with real perspectives, educating the wrestling community, and building better relationships between officials, coaches, and wrestlers. Together, let's make reffing great again. Now, here's your host, Andy Aichele.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Real Ref Report. I'm the Real Ref, Andy Aichele, and I'm excited to be here. Just want to say thanks to the Washington Wrestling Network for helping me get here. I'm an official, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I got two boys that are wrestlers, and I'm a sixth grade math teacher, but I love being an official. And I just think that we need a platform to just help make officiating better, get people interested in officiating, and make it look fun. I think it's really fun. So we want to educate the wrestling community, coaches, wrestlers, officials, and fans, and just build better relationships between all of us. So today, I just want to get it out there that this is not an official bashing podcast. This is a podcast to help officials get better, help myself get better, and to build relationships between all the wrestling community. So just to help officials improve. So with all that said, I want to introduce my first guest, my good friend, Matt Beck, who is a wrestling coach at Everett High.
Oh, yes. We have made it. The Real Ref Report is here, episode 1. Everybody, welcome. Just want to say a couple things. You know, the Washington Wrestling Network has it's 1 year. It's been our 1 year anniversary. I don't think we've even really posted any of that, but on our Instagram, we have officially been a thing for a year, which is a really big deal. You know, hey, Jack, what's going on, buddy? We got comments from your kids in the chat. No, we appreciate that, but just want to say, you know, it's quite incredible the amount of support. It's almost getting overwhelming, like, to a sense, you know. It really isn't. I say that, but it's like, man, I turn around, everybody wants to say hi, and I'm like, hey, I love this. Like, please come say hi, because like, you guys deserve it. The community deserves it. The kids deserve it. The you know, like I said, the wrestlers. We got comments on Instagram from Casey, which are hilarious. He claims he beat me in high school. That never happened. I know it never happened, but that's funny. But Washington Wrestling Network, man, wanted to prop up the idea that, you know, officials, man, we need a place for officials. You know, I feel like we got some really, really good ones in the state of Washington. You're on that list. Timmy Douglas on that list. I don't, you know, I'm not well versed in that list, and just want to say, man, we really welcome having you. You know, and the idea of this, just to say, like you mentioned, we're not here to bash anything. We want to get better. We want to be better as a state. Not to mention just for the refs, but also for the kids. You know, the kids, I saw a couple matches over the weekend. I won't say where I was specifically, but, you know, over the weekend, I did see a match that was put into a referee's hands that I don't think should have ever even gotten to that point. You know, the referees, unfortunately, I feel like we get so involved in the match. It's like, man, stall calls. One of the things I heard one time, it's like, somebody asked me, when should stall calls be called? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, maybe when somebody's backing up, and he goes, never. And I go, okay, I don't know. You know,
if you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different opinions, especially referees. So it's just a tough call. The rule book talks about it, but, you know, step backwards. Oh, stalling. It's just, you got to learn the culture of wrestling and kind of get a feel for the match. And no, sometimes these guys are just really good, and they are feeling each other out, and they're hand fighting, and it's not stalling. So it just depends on what level you are. And some referees would argue with me on that. They're going to be like, no, it's stalling no matter what. And so, you know, like I said, it's never going to be a cut and dried thing. So,
but should it be? I mean, I guess that's kind of the point of the podcast, right? It's like, and I commend you, my friend, because we probably could have reached reached out to 100 people and not one of them might have said yes to something like this. So, I mean, putting yourself on Front Street for everybody it is a big deal. And then, Aichele, can you talk about how what we really want to do, and we want to create this as a community, we want people to send us videos of the calls so that we can dissect them live for some of these people. Tell us how we can do that.
Yeah, everybody send stuff to me at the real ref report at gmail.com. Send me videos, send me questions, and we would love to talk about it. I'm not going to have all the answers or be perfect with everything, but we're here and we're talking about it. So we just want to get that stuff out and just let everybody know that, you know, refs are going to make mistakes and coaches are going to make mistakes. And we want to be, as a community, not mad at each other, but just understand each other and just know that sometimes that's going to happen. And there are calls that are just really tough. So, and I know
likely right before you get going, Bryce Rowland just joined the Instagram feed. Heard about the injury for him. Sorry about that one. Looks like he might be out for the whole year. Hope he gets a chance to heal up and come back strong. So just thought we might say that, but go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to, you know, we're here to help make refs better. And that's what the feeling and the tone that we want to have, and not to, like I said, not to bash anybody. And there's a lot of refs that are already mad about this. And so to all you guys, I just hope that, you know, the tone is okay for you. And that if you see anything or you hear anything or something isn't right, just please email me at therealrefreport@gmail.com and we'll see if we can make things better.
Yeah, and then just for people tuning in, if you do want to stick around, we do have 3 videos that we will be looking at. One is Justice Zuniga at Doc B against the #1 ranked Moses Mendoza of Gilroy. We have something we're going to talk about with that. And then we have Libby Roberts at the Sierra Nevada Classic, which actually ended up being a match that you ref.
I was.
Which was a random chance event, and we have a little bit of a video for that. And then lastly, guys, the Willie Ross finals match at Gut Check. Our video has been viewed quite a lot, and we're going to talk about it. And then also, guys, we just got monetized on YouTube. If you do feel like you want to donate, you can now donate direct through YouTube, and we appreciate the donations that we have already received up until this point. And then the rankings, WashingtonWrestlingNetwork.com. A lot of people have emailed us over the time, and they're like, wow, it's really incredible to see how fast you guys can adjust some of these rankings. I did miss a couple things from over the weekend. Boom, got the email, readjusted the ranks, and the kids were able to see it live. Anybody who has any type of information about rankings, where they see a guy should be, and maybe we missed a result, please email us at WashingtonWrestlingRankings.com. Aichele, I'm going to let you take the wheel here. Take the wheel, my friend.
It's time for the very first segment, talking about some of the things we saw out on the mat.
You're listening to the Real Ref Report. It's time now for On the Mat. On the Mat.
All right, Matt. Some of the things I'm seeing with some referees, and this is, again, just to help some people. We saw some people giving swipes with no points. And so on the defense of the referees, if they swipe, it's really good to be vocal. We want to be as verbal as we can. And so if you're saying one, then we understand that you only got 3 1 counts. But if nobody hears you and you see you swipe 3 times pretty quick, then you're going to have problems and you're going to have coaches coming to the table. And we don't want coaches coming to the table as much as we want to avoid that and keep the flow of the match going. So it's really important for refs to be as verbal as possible. What do you think? What do you think about that one, Matt?
Well, you know, not saying that I shall partake in conversations like this as a coach, but, you know, coming to the table, correct me if I'm wrong, you're supposed to get a coach's misconduct. If
they don't change the call. Now, every ref is going to be a little different. If you're getting a clarification, hey, sir, I saw you swipe 3 times. What can you explain that to me? That's a better way to come to the table. And if he says, I got 3 1 counts, then you just say, okay, thank you. And that's really all you can do. But if you phrase it in the form of a question and you're respectful, most of the time, they're probably not going to give you misconduct. But if you are rude and you say something that's not a question and you say, hey, where's our near fall? He's going to explain to you, and then he's going to give you a coach's misconduct. So it's just really depends on how you phrase it. I know that doesn't really answer every ref is a little different. They might give you that misconduct or they may not. But in the rule book, you're supposed to get a misconduct if the referee does not change his call.
Okay, so you're saying instead of question the call, we are going to ask for clarification. That is a more proper rule. Now, I know because I know a lot of referees, you being one of them. So, you guys are human beings as well. We sometimes, forget that. Some of us coaches forget that you guys, you have, you're real people. You're there. You want to make the call right. So just to come to the table saying you missed a call, that's not the way to approach it. If you come asking for clarification on a call, are most referees okay with that?
Or I can't say most. I can say every referee is different, just like every coach is different, and it's hard to just say. But for me, if you came to the table and said, hey, I saw you swipe 3 times, can you let me know? And yeah, I got 3 quick 1 counts and he came in and out of criteria. That's what I would do. And then it would be done. Some officials may get upset with you. And that's part of it too, is I think we need to change our demeanor a little bit, because I personally am for the wrestlers and for the coaches, because I've done both. I've been a wrestler and I coached for 15 years and I know both sides. I got on plenty of refs myself. And so for me as a referee, I'm doing it because I want to get the call right, not because I want to be right. I want to get it right for the kids who work hard out on the mat and for the coaches. So, I think we should just work together on that and explain it in a cordial way instead of getting upset, because I do see a lot of referees get very upset, and I think that kind of affects their refereeing a little bit because you get flustered and then you're not focused.
So in the comment I made earlier about some of the conversations I defer to be a part of, but there's also some type of as you may call it, like an advancement of my kid trying to get a break. If I'm coming out there trying to say, oh no, my kid, let's say we got 15 seconds left. I can clearly see my kid's tired. I go out there, ask for clarification. If you sense that I'm just trying to stall the match, coach's misconduct right away, right? But is there any level ahead of that where you can say, hey, you're clearly trying to evade or, impede the match there? Is there anything else, or is it just the misconduct the one time?
I think it's a misconduct one time. I would try not to let things get that far. It's just something that I try to avoid. You want to avoid conflict as much as possible. And I really haven't seen too many coaches that are going to come to the table just to try to delay a match. I hope they're not anyway.
Well, that's what I said. You never know. We do have a question here. I've noticed a difference in how refs react to the crowds or celebrations from athletes in other sports, like basketball. I heard chants from crowd, celebrations after a score, etc. But wrestling refs are different. Is there a reason why?
I'm not sure. As a wrestling referee, we want to actually ignore everything. So we're actually going to talk about that in this podcast, when coaches say stuff from the chair, when fans say stuff from the chair or from the crowd, and you just really want to not engage. Those referees that start to engage, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but definitely don't want to engage and don't want to stop the match to respond to any of that. You don't want to smile. You don't want to shake your head or none of that stuff.
So I would assume the question's being asked that wrestling referees are happier to engage. Is that what you're assuming from the question?
Engage with who?
Like the crowd, the fans.
I don't think they should at all. They shouldn't be engaging with the crowd or the fan or anybody. They should be really focused on just the wrestlers. And then if the coach comes to the table, you talk to the coach with your back to the table. But other than that, you really should not be engaging at all.
Is this the point where I get into my second one here about on the mat? And it kind of goes hand in hand with these swipe calls here. So we've seen somewhere, again, we're not here about names or anything. This is just things that happened. Now in college, they have this thing called danger swipes, right? And can you actually just talk about what danger swipes are in college?
Yeah, that's kind of the Bryce Meredith rule, I think. He wrestled for Wyoming. He was in the NCAA finals, and he was really good scrambler, and he would be almost getting pinned, but he would be through the crotch, and so there was no control. So they changed the rule a few years ago to make it where if the ref counts, I think it's 2 or 3, they'll say danger 1, danger 2, and if they get to 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it is, then it's a takedown. So if it's a scramble situation, it wouldn't normally be a takedown, but since your back is exposed for that long, it's a takedown. We do not have that rule in high school. I'm not sure a lot of referees, we can execute it properly. I mean, we would really need some training on it, but tell me what you saw.
Well, so in this specific match, they were in a deep scramble position, and I do have a comment that I'm going to put up here from Instagram in just a second. But they were in a scramble position, upside down, left, right, or back, but they were on the edge of the mat, and the scramble position did get held for a stable second as something was happening. But all of a sudden, you see the ref swipe a couple times. Now, go ahead. What do you think?
Well, he definitely just made a mistake, because in high school, you need to signal takedown before you start swiping.
Okay, so what happens, though, if we see a referee as a coach make a couple swipes? So
Right.
then am I allowed, if I'm or if I think I was the offensive wrestler in the position, like I said, it was a scramble position. I don't know that we can infer any control there.
Right.
But if I see some swipes, am I to infer control?
You should. Yeah. If I was a coach, I would come to the table and say, because the referee, if they don't do anything and then they say no points, you definitely come to the table and say, sir, I saw you give some swipes. That means we should have a takedown. It's something like that. So, but phrase it in a way that's respectful and say, and if the referee, the best way to do it, if he knows he messed up, is just to admit it. Say, I did give swipes and I really screwed that up. I thought it was a takedown for a second, but they kept scrambling, and it's not a takedown. And I believe that's the right call that was made anyway at the end of the day. But they ended up being a really long stoppage. And if you just explain it like that, like, I'm sorry, I gave a swipe and I shouldn't have. I didn't give the takedown, but there was no takedown, and so I should not have swiped. That's all you really need to say, and then the coach really can't say much after that.
Can we, just as we continue to move on, because I don't have the video for this, because I do feel like, we would get into a little bit of a part of this that we don't want here. So I don't have the video. So just in the effort of moving along, don't you think, or do you think a proper situation for next time would just, or at least maybe a better situation for all referees, is, hey, if you sense you messed up, be quick to say you did. I mean, I think that a lot of people in general, when they make a mistake, it's like they want to die on the hill, and it's like every single hill you died on. I think in general, people need to be more out and open with a potential mistake. And especially in a high level finals match, I think it would be behooving to everybody, the sport, the community, and everybody, to be able to say, hey, I made a mistake.
Yeah, I've done that before, and the referee, actually the wrestler said, "No problem, man. Thanks. I appreciate you saying that. I blew a whistle too early. The kid had him on his back with 2 feet in, and the old rules, 2 knees in, and I just blew my whistle too soon." And I was like, "Oh, my heart sank," and I knew I'd screwed up. But what can you do, right? And so I apologized to him right after the match, and they were fine with it, because as long as if you don't say like, "Oh, I was right," and I think a lot of refs end up doing that, and they want to be right because that's the call they made. And I think you can really ease a lot of tension and a lot of problems if you just say, "I messed that up, and we're gonna have to move on."
Yo, we might get some t-shirts. We already had a call for some t-shirts here. We'll get to Cohen Mattern's comment here. I just wrestled a match where the ref told us that if you were to hit a stand-up and push the hips away, that you would be called for stalling. Thoughts?
Bottom guy. If you're on the bottom and the guy's behind you, normally the guy has to return you. But if you're just blocking him from returning you, yes, you could get hit for stalling there, because you're not making an attempt to get away anymore. You're just trying to stop him from making an attempt to return you. So you definitely could, because you have to be making an attempt to score at all times. Both guys do.
Now, do you think in high school it's a little tough? I mean, I did have a ref. who I asked a very specific question for, and I said, hey, in college, that's not going to be called, it's stalling. And he goes, well, this isn't college, this is high school wrestling. So like, where's the variable?
I would only call that on, normally it's the responsibility of the top guy to return. So if the bottom guy is just kind of standing there with his hands trying to break the grip, he's fine. And the top guy needs to make attempts. But if the top guy is making attempts and the bottom guy is just blocking those on the hips or the knees, sometimes you see, that could be stalling on the bottom guy. And it just depends on how much effort the top guy is making. So you can stall there. And I had a coach, he wanted that in a match at the tournament I was at. And I just didn't think the bottom guy was doing that. But definitely if you're blocking, you're stalling.
Another question here, anecdotal, but my observation is that there's a lot of newer officials this year. Curious to what the actual data indicates. Is that what you're seeing? A lot of new officials?
I'm not sure how long everybody's been officiating. I think part of the problem is we do need officials, and that's part of why we're here. I want it to be a fun thing to do for officials, but the reality is we don't get paid that much to do it. So you have to do it because you love it. And you can't fall in love with it until you start doing it. And a lot of people think that officials, it's the dark side, and they don't want to join because they want to coach or they want to do other things. And it's us versus them type mentality. But I can't say for sure how long everybody's been officiating. And some people don't want to get better. That's just the reality. They just show up and they do that, and they don't, because we don't get paid to train. And so they just show up to a match or they show up to a meeting, and that's it. You have to really put some time into it to really want to get good. And the reality is not everybody's doing that. And we have to be okay with that. We just have to get those officials in the JV matches or where they should be, not in high level finals.
Yeah, and you know what we can maybe do, and this is just a part, obviously we're trying to push the effort here with a referee podcast, even though we know we are going to struggle with some of the perception in the community. But I say that, it's also up to us in this podcast to champion referees for doing a great job, right? And so just as much as we want the film for when you think, send it, Aichele, what's the website again to send it to?
The Real Ref Report at gmail.com.
The Real Ref Report at gmail.com. Don't just send us the ones you think are tough calls to analyze. Also, guys, if you're out there and you see a referee doing a great job, we'd love to honor them. We'd love to know that person. We'd love to see where they're at, and we'd love to be the ones to champion them. Let's move on.
All right. I just wanted to we got time for one more of these, just some referee tips here. So the reversal before the point signal is killing me, to be honest. Like, you're supposed to give points first unless it's a violation. So if somebody gets a reversal, you want to hold your hand up and give 2 and then give the reversal sign. You don't want to start giving the reversal sign and then give 2, because you miss near fall when you do that. So if somebody gets reversed to their back and you're busy rotating your hands, you're missing near fall. And some refs will say, oh, well, I am counting in my head. You're just asking for trouble from the coaches, because we want to swipe with your arm. So if you get good at it, you can hold up 2 and start swiping at the same time. And the reversal signal really is not that important. So you want to save that for the end, and just don't do the reversal sign first. 2 points first, then reversal. But you got to hit that near fall right away, because those kids, it's not easy to put somebody on their back, and you don't want to miss those points.
You are speaking to the choir right here, my guy. I tell you what, it is some of the most maddening things as a coach to see a referee stand and they're like 3 takedown or 2 reversal up top. And then it's like, meanwhile,
back points.
Kids is on his back for 3 seconds before you get down there.
Yeah.
And recently I have been seeing a lot of this, and I actually I'm okay with this compared to where we were, but it's like, okay, you're counting in your head. So it's like, okay, I see 1 swipe and then the kids turned 4 near fall. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how we got there, but at least I'm okay with this. So do we think that counting in our head is at least somewhat of a step towards the right direction? I mean, I get it, what you're saying. Let's try to be better at just signaling the points as we're on the dive for the near fall. But
You want to avoid counting in your head. I mean, you do want to do it if you have to, but not in those situations. I count in my head sometimes if the kid's like really about to be pinned and I'm crawling around on my belly and I don't want to like try to wave while I'm crawling around. And it's pretty obvious that he's on his back for 4 seconds. But if it's a 2-second count and you miss one, or one of the coaches is going to be mad. Hey, you only swiped once. Or, hey, I saw you didn't swipe at all and we had 2 near. So you're going to have a mad coach no matter what if you don't get your mechanics right. And really a big part of officiating is mechanics. And so we don't want to look silly out there like we're just flailing around. We want to have it dialed in to where everything's nice and tight.
Right before this question, actually, from Lunatic Fringe, I'm going to ask this other one because it's quicker. From Jay Montel, 81, can a ref overturn a stall call?
It's not against the rules to overturn it. If a coach comes over and asks a question, I've probably never seen one do it. The only time I've seen him do it is if it's a match where you have 2 referees. You could maybe overturn it or maybe add it. The second official might come over and say, hey, I really didn't think he was stalling there. Let's not. And you can change it, yes, but I don't see it very often.
Okay, there's the answer. You can change a stall call. Right here from Lunatic Fringe, a question here. Is there a statewide consistent standard used to review referees? If not, how difficult would this be to implement? A small answer to this question is we're trying. Okay, this is what we're trying to do. And Aichele, let me ask you, how tough do you think it's going to be for us to try to get where we want to go?
It's not. I mean, if we decided to do it, we could do it. There's lots of refs that are really good, that are high level, that are willing to participate. But we don't have it. Honestly, some states do. They have a ranking system, and they have these refs are going to state. We do not have that, and this year they're not even going to be evaluating officials at state. So it's a definitely.
That doesn't sound right.
No,
Wait a second. We're just going to overlook that real quick.
Well, we're not going to get too much into that. I don't want to ruffle too many feathers, but they are rotating who goes to state, and it's not our training system is not consistent. It's just it depends on the local association. So you have probably 6 or 7 associations in the state, and everybody does it how they see fit. So definitely not the state sends out like little quizzes and little things, the tests that everybody has to pass, but they don't have a set training schedule. And if they do, and they say they do, I haven't seen it.
Olivia White just joined the Instagram there.
Thanks
for that. Yep. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. Really, I do. We got another question here. How to ref call unnecessary roughness on my daughter for the softest elbow? It was crazy. Dad in the stands was saying hard elbows, ref, and the ref makes the call. He shouldn't have made it, period. So here's the thing, Seattle Ryan, love you. And I think we know this guy from before. I think his daughter wrestles around here. Get us the video. Let's look at it, because I'd like to see this. Justin Brolin, I'm an official, and the WWWOA Pierce County. I definitely think we need a statewide evaluation system. Thank you for that. We're going to try our best. That is a goal for our podcast, is to bring this to the forefront and do it. But who knows that we're the ones that should be doing it? Maybe we eventually get a committee of refs. That way it's not all just on one person. I would love to be able to do that. We'll bring this to our email, therealrefreport@gmail.com. Go ahead, Aichele.
They do have to do a background check.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask the question. Do referees have to pass a stringent background check, as do coaches? If not, why not? ?
That's above my pay grade. I'm not in charge of all that, but I was just going to say, like, a lot of this stuff, I think they need to start letting us younger guys do. You know, the Seahawks head coach is 30-something years old. The Rams head coach is 30-something years old. It's not that we can't do it, but we have a lot of guys that have been doing it for a long time that are maybe stuck in some old patterns. And so I think a lot of us younger guys need to start doing some of this stuff. We just need to be handed the reins.
Doing what, though? What does this have to do with background checks?
Well, that's different subject. I don't know.
That's the question I asked here. Okay. Well, that's the question I asked.
The background checks, I don't do those. I don't know. I know we have to do it on Arbiter just like everybody else, but I don't know how deep that goes. So I can't say.
So there is background checks.
Yes.
Okay, so you cannot become a referee without first being background checked. Thank you for clarifying that. Let's move on.
All right.
And you send the video to therealrefreport@gmail.com. Okay, thanks you.
All right. I think it's time for the next segment, Matt. One of my favorites. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Here we go.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Oh, come on, man.
Now, here's Come On, Man.
Okay. These are funny stories that I have from reffing that I hear coaches say from the corner or fans or whoever. The first one is just a funny. I was reffing a coach in the corner. He says to his wrestler, "Get moving, get moving." His head's down on the mat. I wait a little bit. Then he goes, "Don't wait for an invitation to get moving." And I
What did you do?
hit him with a stall call.
Okay, jeez.
And the coach was like, "What? Why?" And I tried not to laugh out. You don't want to laugh, but I was just like, man, if most coaches, when that happens, they'll say thank you. And I just thought this is funny. And after the match, he's like, "Why'd you call us for stalling?" And I'm like, "Well, your head was on the mat and you weren't moving. So, you were yelling at him to get moving. So I thought, that'd be a good time to call him for it." But
that is funny. I always get hit in the knee by my coach sitting right next to me when I say stuff like that. It's like, don't give the ref a reason to call a stall. What's next?
I had a kid was cutting a kid, and he said if you cut him, you got to let him get in a defensible position. And a lot of times, kid on the bottom won't turn and face right away. And a coach was like, "We released him," because he released him and then he jumped right back behind him real quick. And so the rule, I just want to talk about the rule on that. They got to get into a position where they can defend themselves and not be in a position of, it's got to be a position of advantage that you lose. And so if you're still on the side, you're still an advantage. So you got to be released and not to the side. So I thought it was funny how they wanted to get an extra takedown.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. I mean, I think we all, some of us, most of us do understand this, but obviously this is something that you're talking about from your own personal time out there on the mat. And so it still is happening. But yes, now that means that you can call stalling on the bottom guy for not getting up.
Exactly. So if he's not getting up and he's not trying to wrestle, you definitely can hit him with a stall call for sure.
There you go.
The next one I just heard, a lot of times people you get near fall on a tilt and a kid will catch an arm bar on the way back. And so I had a coach yell to me that it's a new move. We need our near fall. And it's not just a new move. The case book says, even though it's a new hold, the defensive wrestler has to recover to a base. And so if you're on a tilt and then you catch an arm bar on the way back, you still have, the referee's going to hold the points. He should hold the points, or she, because it's not just a new move. It's like saying, okay, reverse half, reverse half. You got to get into a defensible position before you give the points.
That's a good one. You're out here talking to the coaches here, because it's not so much about, it's more about the flack that you're probably hearing from coaches after or before, during. Hey, why didn't you call that? That one's huge right now because tilting is so popular, right? Everybody's tilting. So there you go, guys. Tilt one way, release, let them get to a base, work towards our next position.
Yeah, other one I think is funny is, I don't know if you yell this or not, but somebody locks hands and what do the coaches yell at their kids? Free move.
And ain't it the truth?
It's not the truth. It's not a free. So if they lock hands on a sit out, once the sit out is over, you don't get to try some funky flip to get out of it because it's free. Like, I don't understand the free move yelling, because if he locks his hands, once that move that you were doing is over, the ref should stop it and give the points. It's not like, oh, he gets to try some weird funky thing now that it's a free move. So I don't know.
Okay, so can he do a weird funky thing from the sit out though? So a free move in the sit out could be he does a backflip from the sit out and he ends up on top.
I mean, if it's all a continuation of the same move, I guess. But
a lot of times, you heard it here first. We got to get more creative in the wrestling room. But you're right. That's a good one, and I appreciate you saying that.
All right, last ones I think is funny. The coaches think they have these secret words like know where you're at, or this new one is cowboy and rodeo, and I think that means like short time, ride them out or something. Know where you're at is obviously get out of bounds, or but that's fine. Like but I think, I don't know if you guys say this cowboy or rodeo thing where it's like short time, ride them out. I think that's what it means.
I don't say it, but know where you're at has been said multiple times.
Yeah.
Or check, understand the score, or something like that. Some ways that we can maybe trick you guys into us, and we're getting sneaky out there. We really are. You better watch.
We know exactly what you're saying. I think it's funny to me though. But I think it's important for referees to not laugh or smile or I saw a referee laughing at wrestlers the other day, and I just was like, man, that is not okay. So just got to keep it professional.
Hey, but you just mentioned yourself that you almost laughed.
I did in that situation, but you got to hold it in.
Okay,
sure.
You didn't laugh. Okay, here's the thing. This is why we're doing this. If you see the real ref out there laughing, you take a video of it and we'll slander this man. We will absolutely slander this man. No laughing out there. But hey, I reffed a little bit, when I was younger, kids tournaments, middle, stuff like that. I like to have fun out there.
Yeah. I mean, I have so laughing at this ref was laughing in a situation. So the kid was holding his head down on the mat, not letting him up, and he started laughing. If a coach makes a joke at me, or I know him from says something crazy, I might look and laugh at them for something else that has nothing to do with wrestling. Not saying I'm not going to have fun, but definitely, maybe
not at not at. All right. I got a good comment right here. Terry Ducat had a great win over the weekend. Thank you for the comment right here. But here's the comment. This year has been the worst reffing in quite some time. That is an opinion. Okay. We not stated by us, but Terry, I can understand your vibes because I've seen and witnessed a couple of these matches, but potentially dangerous for everything. Not following the new out of bounds rule. That one's a huge one for me. I'll tell you, we got to get into that at some point. But we had a ref at Yelm Wednesday, and Aichele, I think we're going to get into that during this podcast. But had a ref at Yelm yesterday that stopped the match in the final 15 seconds while my kid was sinking an armbar to ask if the time was correct. Okay, I won't read the rest of that one because again, I don't want to get direct at some of these places, but I did actually want to talk about that. Stopping the match to clarify points scored or time. We should be doing that, if I am correct, once the action has stopped or become a neutral position.
Exactly. It's like the new stall call with the shoelace. You're not going to stop, or the headgear comes off, right? So you don't want to stop a move. You don't want to stop danger. You don't want to stop anything that's about to happen, for sure. But the problem is, I think a lot of times the table might start yelling at the referee, hey, time, clock, or somebody's yelling clock or time, and then it just really gets difficult. And so we got to understand that, yes, the referee should not be stopping it for that situation. But if the table and everybody starts yelling time or clock, you don't know if the time ran out. You don't know what's going on. And so sometimes that's what happens. And so we got to be understanding. The table help is usually it is volunteers, and they don't always know all the rules either. And so if I'm going to defend that referee in any way, it's because, I've done it before where the kid, the towel tapper said 5. And I thought he said time, and the kid was on his back, and I stopped the match. And that kind of stuff is going to happen. And so it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate part of wrestling, but it's not always the referee's fault per se. It's just something that happens because of tables and towel tappers and all that stuff.
But to speak to the referees that may be listening to this podcast, we absolutely cannot be stopping a match until we get into this neutral defensible position. Agreed?
Agreed. You're not supposed to, for sure.
Definitely. All right. Now, Aichele, listen, in the fairness of time, we could sit here all day long. We don't want these to go forever. I think we're going to cut the rest of the podcast as far as some of the stuff we're talking about, and I want to get to some of these videos. I don't know if we have a little intro point for this, but we have 3 special videos I'd like to present here.
Let's do one ref you suck portion where I can talk about that one with the new out of bounds rules real quick.
All right, we'll do that.
All right, here we go.
The Real Ref Report.
Oh no! We suck again!
Now it's time for
You suck, ref!
Ref, You Suck.
All right, so this is about me. I was doing a finals match, and the old rules, everybody knows you had to have 2 feet in to score, or if you had to have 2 knees in, 2 feet to score, and it was out of bounds, but you could have near fall with 2 knees in.
2 points of contact. Yeah.
Right. Well, this kid in the finals hit the top guy was completely out of bounds, and the bottom guy hit a reversal. He hit a sweet switch. And the kid that was on top was now on all fours. And as the kid was hitting the switch, he was completely out of bounds. And I blew my whistle and gave 1 point for an escape, like the old rules, loss of control. And realized that the guy that was now on bottom still had 1 hand in and screwed it up, and I was just, the old rules got me, and sometimes we're too quick to our whistle. And I learned my lesson. We got to start letting the action happen and just waiting. You don't have to be too quick on the whistle. You want to just be late, if anything. And so let the action happen, let the score happen, and then see what you saw. And I know I saw the hand, but I had blown my whistle too soon. And so I don't know if he didn't move because I blew my whistle. And so I didn't change the call when the coach asked about it. I said I blew my whistle too soon. I apologized to him after the match. But definitely, it's with the new rules this year, it is better, it is easier, but sometimes we've been doing something so long that you just kind of get in a habit. And so, but that mistake saved me from making it again. And I know for a fact that every time now I'm going to hold my whistle and make sure everything is done before I blow it.
Man, this is like a something to say for a young referee, because I know when we have a brand new ref, you could see how timid some refs get. It's a hostile environment, especially when maybe due to numbers, you're forced into some of these pretty high profile matches,
Yeah.
And, the issue that I'm seeing is they're blowing these things real quick.
Yeah.
And not just that, but everybody in the world can see there's a half a body on the inbounds here.
Yeah, and I've learned to stop doing that, but as a new official, I did that too. For some reason, you have it in your head that you want to get the out of bounds call as soon as it happens, or just be quick on it. I don't know why, but you got to get used to just letting the action happen and then be patient and not getting too worked up. You see, as you get more experience, you see a referee kind of standing there very calm. You see the newer guys, they're kind of jumping around like they're ready for something crazy to happen, and they're just too intense. So you want to just relax and slow things down and let it happen. Because I
appreciate you for talk. I mean, and this is part of the podcast that is going to happen nearly every time. If you make a mistake, it's good to point it out. And this was an instance where you made one. And as I am going to start sharing my screen right now for this Libby Roberts match here. Can you see that? Can everybody see that here?
Yeah, there's me in Reno. It's random that I was the one doing it. That's crazy.
Yeah, this was so random. Now, the only reason we brought this in is because I was talking about it. So we'll let this happen here. Libby Roberts cross wrist on top. Okay, now you're seeing this. Libby's on top here. Lifts the girl and returns her.
Yeah.
You made what call here?
Illegal slam, 1 point for the other wrestler. A recovery time started.
So I'm not saying I argued this. I mean, I did. And I understand that the rule is that it's the top wrestler's job to return safely. And that's why you called this illegal, correct?
Yeah, you can't return them with unnecessary force either. And it looks like, she goes upside down and then she puts her down pretty hard, and I think part of the problem is when you have really high level wrestling wrestlers who are not as high level, they don't know how to land and they don't know how to go into the air. Like if she did that to a high level wrestler, they would not have let themselves go upside down. And so she's not used to that. And so when you're wrestling, you've got to be a little more careful depending on what level you are. And unfortunately, in this case, I mean, you have to call the slam here. It's unnecessary force for sure. And she landed upside down on her head.
And so my competing argument to this one specifically, and sorry for the audio listeners, because go on YouTube and watch this back. My competing argument to the level of wrestler difference is this is a girl from Grants Pass, Oregon, making the trip to Nevada to wrestle. So you're trying to tell me that there's such a drastic difference in level of wrestler here that the entire onus is put on Libby in the return?
Well, I believe Libby won the Ironman, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm saying it's not some local tournament. You know what I mean?
The casebook does say that it is a responsibility of the wrestler to make sure they land safely. Now, it's talking about not dropping them. So somebody in the casebook says, can you just lift them up and drop them? No, it's your responsibility to make sure they land safely. So obviously, yeah, right there. Look at how she's upside down. It's
okay, but is this the bottom's fault too? I mean, if they're just going to let themselves be slammed every time, are we always going to be calling the top wrestler for being a wrestler?
They're in control, Matt. And as much as you want to say, oh, you got to be tough, it's wrestling, you're in control and you got to make sure they don't land on their head for sure. Unfortunately, like just because they did it to themselves is not an excuse.
Coach Boomer from Tahoma right here. I vote slam. Hey, I didn't say it wasn't. Just want a full. I just wanted to at least bring this out here so we could talk about it because I do think. And then, and if you remember correctly, once you called this a slam, Libby's dad was like, "Yeah, that was a slam."
It was sad. Yeah, he knew it wasn't on purpose. We don't feel like, but everybody knew the girl was pretty hurt and she was upside down, like the picture shows, and it was rough. But I'm one of the most lenient. I've actually been in trouble from my association for not calling slam. So I'm actually pretty lenient. And that one to me was pretty easy call.
All right. That was a good one. I let you off the hook easy there. Not that this one is going to be hard or anything, but as we watch here, we have Justice Zuniga, Moses Mendoza from Gilroy. Now this is the third period. Justice, 1-1 match here into the third period. I believe this is, let me see. I just want to make sure this is where we're at here. Okay. Yep. Here we are. So you deemed this call ticky-tacky.
Okay. I didn't know the feet touching. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. We'll watch it from here. Justice gets snapped in here. Mendoza gets in on a shot. We go into the submarine position.
I can't see it for sure. I don't know what he did, but
so apparently the call was made that he. Okay, this has got to be one of the worst calls ever in the history. No, as far as like if the call is, I'm sure it's correct per the rule book, but we really need to talk about this. I mean, because when you're up there and you're, it's going, the other guy could just bring your legs together. I mean, how dumb is this? One of the biggest matches of all time, and we get a single point. I'm going to let the match play out here because as we talk about this, there's another call here. But that's the right call is what you're saying.
Well, if you see him touch, it's kind of like a full Nelson where if two hands touch on the head, it's a call. And it's not like you put any pressure, but when the feet touch around the head, that's what it is. And from the video, it's hard to tell. I mean, if they just grazed, 1-to-1 match,
this is what I'm saying. 1-to-1 match.
I know.
And you're telling me, okay, so we'll watch this here. 48 seconds left. We're going to be in a Merkel opportunity here.
Yes.
For Justice. So he's going to work to get the inside leg inside of this gentleman's. Okay. So right here, rewarded a 3-point takedown. Let me go ahead. Let me pause this here.
Go back and pause it where his foot's across the leg, if you can.
It's right there. Yep.
So then keep going. Right.
Oh, dang it. Sorry.
Anyway, let me show the picture of a Merkel, and this is what it's got to be. So a lot of people get this messed up. The left hand here, the inside, it has to be underneath the armpit. You can't be over the top where a lot of people are. And then the leg has to be toe hooked around the inside leg. He didn't have that leg toe hooked. He had it across the hip. And so the other kid on bottom was really smart. So you can look at that picture in the rule book. But definitely right there. You see his leg is across the hip, kind of behind his other leg.
Well, so this is where we were talking about this and how smart this wrestler was. Mendoza is smart because he sees this right now. I'm going to hit play. The second he sees that Justice may be working to get his leg wrapped around here, he grabs the ankle and works it across the body.
Smart, so smart. And the ref missed that. And he did get it right afterwards after Cormier told him about it. But
look at Daniel Cormier coming up in here, ready to argue this like he's going to fight somebody.
Yeah, no, Cormier was right, but I don't know if the ref actually saw it and he got strong armed into it or what. But
hey, let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about the quick whistle. The referee did a fantastic job here. The match continued to wrestle. We're 10 seconds in. We have Daniel Cormier on the mat, ready to argue the call, and he waits fantastically. See, this is what we need. He waits until the one escape's been called. They're in a neutral defensive position, then stops the match to talk about it. So we are saying officially that he did not have the ankle locked. It was the correct call.
From the view we have, that's correct. It looked like that kid Mendoza, he caught it and put it across his hip, and so he never got the toe hooked for sure. I mean, not for sure, but from the angle we saw, he grabbed it and pulled it across his hip. So in the picture in the rule book, he did not have the Merkel.
Okay, yep. And as ticky-tacky as it can get, calls the other one, even though you don't know. All right, guys, as this is what everybody's been waiting for, okay? The Willie Ross finals match here at Gut Check. I do believe it's Adonai Garza that he is wrestling. Let me see if I can present this here. Okay, so we have 30 seconds left. It is a 3-3 match. Garza from Kent Meridian, Willie Ross from Lincoln, Tacoma here. 21 seconds left. Willie Ross. Oh, let's get. Okay, here we go. There we go. 17 seconds. Willie Ross is going to hit a something here. Give it a second because Flo's. A Granby. Looks to a Granby to a Peterson position here. No locked hands, no nothing. The call was a 2-point reversal. Willie's holding on to the head here to maintain his control, ends up winning the match. The call was 2-point reversal right there.
And then they end up switching it to loss of control 1.
Now, you can walk me through this, Aichele. Do we have any loss of control here in your mind? Sorry about the Gut Check feed. It does pause. So starting right here, tell me where you see a loss of control.
Okay, so there is no loss of control yet because the time has to run out for you to call a loss of control escape. So in this case, it wouldn't be an escape yet. So he did call a reversal. So let's talk about the reversal first. Right here, he calls a reversal. And to get a reversal, you have to have control, which is restraining power and position of advantage. And I don't think personally that he has control in that situation to get reversal. Then at the end, the guy in silver, was that Ross or whoever the other guy?
Silver is Adonai Garza, Kent Meridian.
So the guy in silver regains his position of advantage, and he actually is around the waist and back up on his knees. And so honestly, I think this should have been no points either way. That official is a great guy, great official. That was just a really tough call. I mean, you watch it over and over, and in the moment you got to make a decision, right? And so I don't think if I'm gonna pull up the picture of the reversal situation. In the pictures, you got to have the hand locked. I don't know that you have to have the hand locked to establish control, but it says as soon as they're worried about getting pinned. I don't think he ever had any of that, and it was just so quick. So that's a tough call. It was. I think what you said was they ended up changing it to loss of control. That one, I don't think they should go to loss of control. They should either give the reversal or not. And in that case, there probably should have been no points and go to overtime.
Okay, so what you're saying is that right through this Granby where he ends up in a Peterson here, right here,
Yep.
He needs to have controlled his right arm coming through.
And the leg and lock.
So he has the leg, definitely can argue he has the leg, but no arm leg connection there. No real positioning here.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a position of advantage and restraining
Especially,
power.
it's definitely a scramble position for sure.
Definitely a scramble, but I don't think he had restraining power and position of advantage. And then you can see at the end, the guy in silver, he regains his control. So it should have been probably no points either way, and then go to overtime. But definitely a tough call. Like that referee is a great official. He's doing the finals there. A great guy. And I'm sure he's going to get better from that and probably won't happen again.
Wow. What a call there.
It's tough. It's a tough one.
Wow. All right. Well, geez, Aichele, did you expect us to go an hour on the Real Ref Report out of nowhere?
I didn't. We were thinking 20 minutes, and here we are.
Yeah, well, when you get two peas in the same pod, we could sit here and talk about it for a long time. Okay, well, can you tell everybody where they can follow your page on Instagram, and then also where they can send their videos in to us here?
Yeah, my Instagram page is at The Real Ref Report. So just search The Real Ref Report, and I'm there on Instagram. You can message me there if you want, or send emails to therealrefreport@gmail.com. Send emails, videos. We'd love to talk about all the situations that are going on out there.
And then Washington Wrestling Network, guys, that is where we hail from. We appreciate all the positive feedback. We're going to try to do what we can for the community, and that is doing the hard stuff. Rankings, those are difficult to do, not just for the amount of work and effort that it is, but hey, we had a very unfortunate thing where a parent reached out to us, said, hey, my kid should be here, not here. And we talked about it. And then they went out and wrestled a kid that was right behind him and lost, and so it was just a really tough thing because we're in this stream of communication, trying to make sense of it all. And, we have a tough job, but when the matches happen and the defeats happen, those things matter the most to us. And then bringing you on, we were told we're in a little bit of a hot water situation, which we welcome that stuff. We're out here trying to be respectful, just as you mentioned, the loss of control and the Willie Ross thing. We admit that was no loss of control, should have gone to a neutral standing overtime there to see who would have finished out on top. But hey, you say that guy's a great referee, and I'm sure he would be great. I just really appreciate you for doing the work that you're about to do, and we're gonna do it, man. Last final thoughts.
Hey, I just want to say thanks, Matt. I mean, and to you and the whole Washington Wrestling Network. You guys are kind of the ones that encouraged me to do this and help me get all my stuff and help me get this thing off the ground. So if you guys don't know, I mean, these guys are awesome. They're doing all of this for free, for fun. We love wrestling, and that's why we're doing it. And so we want to make wrestling better in Washington. We want to make all the community together, referees, get more coaches, and just build the sport, guys and girls. So just want to say thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
we appreciate you too, buddy. All right, for the Washington Wrestling Network and for the Real Ref Report, we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening and keeping it real with the Real Ref Report. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review. And be sure to follow Andy on Instagram and YouTube at The Real Ref Report. Thanks again for listening as we make reffing great again.